back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. What is good, Bears fans? The Chicago Bears have now ended the draft, and now we're just really going to be breaking down day 3 today, because we already talked about day 1, we talked about day 2, and now it is day 3. And then tomorrow, I'll probably just do a general recap on just everything that we have talked about. As it didn't note, yes, I got a haircut. Just thought day 3 might as well get something out there. What is good, everybody? Shidrax is out there. Skokes is out there. Joe's out there. Taco Man. What is good, all my friends? And also, yeah, I agree with Skokes. We'll talk a little bit about this, about how we feel about day 3. This is what we got to start talking about, because I want to break down all the different picks, all the different trade backs, but also, just so everyone knows, I updated the draft guide. So we have all the consensus ratings. I just updated all those because it was bothering me that they weren't correct. They are all up to date. And also, all the draft picks that the Bears have are also out inside of the draft guide. It's absolutely free. Link down below in the description. So if you're listening, you can see some of those out there. So make sure to download that draft guide. So let's talk a little bit about this day 3, because day 1, liked it, right? Liked it. Day 2, liked parts of it. Day 3, I see out in the chat. I was actually going to grab a beer, Taco Man. I was going to say gross and have a beer. I do not have a beer with me. I have a stress ball. I'll just use the stress ball for this. I think that this is how we feel about just the day 3. I was looking online. There's a lot of mixed feelings with this. And I think that the whole vibe of it, right, before we get into the individuals, I think that just the vibe was, there was a lot of really good talent that we talked about at the last show that we just didn't necessarily get. And you'll see kind of a common trend where, Ryan Poles and the picks really kind of were a little bit different than what we were kind of expecting, because some of these players, no one's really ever heard of, or they were projected to go undrafted, and then we drafted them a little bit higher than expected. And I think that's really where you kind of saw some of the negative reviews of this draft class kind of come through. Myself having similar feelings where, just a lot of these players, you kind of expected one thing and didn't get the other. So let's actually go into the first thing that ended up happening, which was the trade back. So let's talk about the first trade back, where technically, if you're looking at the draft value chart, technically the Bears lost this trade. If you're looking at the actual trade value chart, it was Bears traded 109 for 132 and 169. Now, a lot of the reasons why this pick or this trade back had a lot of pushback was, hey, you still had some pretty good running backs out there. You still had, Jack Sawyer, other defensive ends out there, but also too, some people kind of calling into question, like, hey, was this because Scadaboo wasn't there? And that's maybe who the Bears wanted, or some of these other running backs. And it does feel like just this entire draft, we'll talk more about it tomorrow, but it does feel like there's a lot of these one pick or a couple picks before where the Bears have their eyes set on someone. And hey, this is just the way things go sometimes. It just really felt like the Bears had certain players and it just didn't work that way overall. So let's just see so we obviously did this trade back. Technically, for those that are curious, this trade on the value chart looks better for the Bills. The only thing that's positive for the Bears is they walked away with a 4th round pick at 132 and a 5th round pick at 169. So the Bears at that pick 132 end up drafting Ruben Hippolite, which this was one of those picks. I'm not gonna BS you and be like, man, my guy, my Hippolite, right? And also, I'm not trying to be mean at all. So if there's any members of the Hippolite family watching, I'm not trying to be mean with this, but yeah, he was projected to not really get drafted. So it was actually it was a huge surprise. He was the number 361st player on the consensus big board. And when you're talking about spending a 4th round pick on someone, it gave off the Igbong Bamiga vibes, right? Where you got the linebacker that's kind of this traitsy player. Also totally did not update his school. It says Buffalo. He's actually from Maryland. Obviously, you can see from his from what he looks like. But let's break him down. Senior, 5'11", 236 pounds, projected to go undrafted. PFF grade of 69.2 last season. Linebacker number 30 on the consensus big board. Now, what can I tell you about this guy? So last year, 66 tackles, 1 interception, 0 sacks, a 14.5% missed tackle rate. Not great. Really not great. Not good look right there. And then you look at his overall, like other grades, 69 pass rush grade, 69 run defense grade, 65 pass coverage grade. Now, throw out stats, grades, everything like that. This guy is fast. I think his 40 time was, he was 236 pounds, and he ran a 4.4, I think it was 4.42, just insane speed, and that's clearly what the Bears are going for. And also, when you look at this, why it gives me, special team linebacker vibes, 425 special team snaps. He's probably going to be out there from a special teams perspective. Yet again, Bears have done this, I think in the previous regime to draft a linebacker like this, but also very, very fast at least. But, right, like, so there's the speed, but like I said, poor tackling, the functional strength, even though that he's 5'11", 236, which means dude's rocked up. He does get pushed off of blocks very easily. And two, when he's within traffic, not great. Very good sideline to sidelines, open, when there's an opening, he'll just fly out there. That's why, if anything, if he is going to play, it's more of a weak side linebacker where you have just in a position where other people take on blocks and do stuff like that. And then he just kind of gets to clean up tackles. But this seems to me more of a special teams type of a pick than anything else. But yeah, just, I don't think I need to say anything else, but just, not a big fan of this, right? And it's the thing that the common thread that you'll see, and the thing that I just want to say, because I know a lot of people out there say, well, we don't know until 3 years down the road. Yeah. But also when you look at the teams, like look what the Eagles did. Look what the Ravens did. Look what those really good teams do. They don't take someone that's projected to go undrafted. They take like a Chris Paul. They take these other linebackers that are projected to get drafted and take them and say, hey, we can teach you special teams. You can start doing some of that. So that's where that's my thing. That's my whole thing with this. So, more of a linebacker, more so going to be more so going to be a special teamer, if anything. So let's keep on going with the trade back number 2 that we got to talk about. And this one I really liked. I don't know what the exact draft value chart, because whenever you trade for a future pick, it's always up in question. So the thing that I like is we gave away 148, and what we got instead is we get a 4th round pick next season and pick 195. Also, I don't know if it was just me, but like in my group chat, I was kind of saying, I'm like, it just kind of feels like Ryan Poles had his strategy, like, oh, we're totally getting this guy. And then everything shook up and he's like, all right, who can I call to get out of this situation? But I really like that they went and got a 4th round pick next year, because we traded our 4th round pick next year for our left guard, so for Joe Thuney. And now you get a 4th round pick back. So this was probably my favorite, if not second favorite move of the day, just because I like all the trades backs. I like getting that future capital. And I've said this before on the show. If you're new, one of my favorite things, the best thing about future draft capital is it becomes instantly more valuable right now. Right after it ends, it becomes so insanely valuable because now it's this year's pick. So I always like trying to get that future capital, because now in a month or 2 months, or when the season's going to start, now people are going to be trading for this year's picks, and magically it becomes instantly more valuable. So good return on investment when you have stuff like that, if you want to trade, and they just instantly become more valuable, which I really, really like. So let's go into the next pick. which is Zay Frazier, not Za Frazier, the official naming of it, Zay Frazier, out of UTSA Roadrunners. He is a redshirt junior, senior. It's still some of those COVID rules, right? He's older, and 6'3", 186. And how much older? 24 years old. He's going to be 25 years old as a rookie. Now, this guy was one of the best picks that we did have when it came down to consensus big boards. Now, on the consensus big board, 130 and cornerback number 16. Now, projected to go day 3, PFF grade of 85.9, which was 17th best. Now, with Frazier, what I can tell you is this is a potential pick. This screams Dennis Allen. You get somebody who's 6'3", 186, and you get this guy that really had 1 year of as a starter, can play outside. You still have Terrell Smith, and you're trying to just get him, and you say, let's connect this guy with Al Harris and see what he can get out of him. And it's weird saying potential for a 25-year-old rookie, but still, if you look at where Zay Frazier came from, he had a couple of years in community college. Then I think he was at Northern Illinois. And then he just kind of transferred, just bounced around all sorts of different spots. But really had 1 year starter at UTSA and played pretty darn well. Now, the big thing is zone coverage. Good feeling zone coverage. Think of this guy as like a off-brand, who is the corner from UTSA. Blanking on his name, that went to Seattle. He's kind of the off-brand version of that, where you get these toolsy, kind of reminds me of a wide receiver playing the cornerback position, where he's got that good feel for where the ball is going to be, but where the instincts fall is instincts as a corner, right? I didn't feel like he had good man-to-man vibes of like where the person was going to be. And even though he ran within the 4.3s at his 40 time, I didn't see a lot of quickness, a lot of, quick feet with his game, but still very good ball skills, 6 interceptions, 15 passes defensed, and also 37.7 passer rating allowed. So dominated, right? So now he should go out there and we'll see what he ends up doing. But this was one of the best consensus picks when you think about this. The thing that another piece that I just want to mention is, with him being a potential pick and being 24 going into 25, the other piece is like sometimes it didn't look like some of those other players that are in similar situations with the ball skills, right? I didn't see as great of ball skills as I think you kind of expect out of someone coming out of UTSA with 6 interceptions, 15 passes defensed. So we'll see what they end up doing. But yeah, when I put on the tape, because I did not see him in the pre-draft process, watched him, during the draft, after the draft, and yeah, didn't love it, right? And yet again, this is a later day 3 pick type of deal with some of this stuff too. Let's keep on going. Let's go with Luke Newman up next. Michigan State, he's going to be a guard. Now, I did hear someone say that, hey, maybe a center just because of the shorter arms, shorter stature at 6'3", 312. But also, he was the consensus 355th player. Going to throw that out there. Redshirt senior. When you look at his grade, how did he grade? 71.8. He was the 124th on the PFF from interior guards on the PFF scale. This is someone who transferred over from Holy Cross after, I believe, 3 seasons starting at left tackle at Holy Cross, goes over to Michigan State 1 year at left guard. So that's why probably going to be more of that left guard. Now, very good foot quickness in his game, good speed. I like the way that he at least moves. He graded better in a gap scheme with the PFF grading, but still projects better at a zone just because of his whole skill set. Don't look into the grades too far with something like that, but just more of a foot quickness type of dude. But the thing that I saw that just kind of popped off is kind of that short arms, the short length that they showed. He's very, very antsy, like a not patient type of a blocker. He does a lot of reaches. He's trying to get out in front, leans a little bit too forward. Not a big fan of that. Obviously, you don't want to be doing that with some of these blocks. So that's where I think maybe they're seeing this and saying, maybe we can coach that out of him, right? Because He was coached up at Holy Cross, goes over for only 1 year at Michigan State. So I do really like the quickness side of it, but it's yet again another person that you're trying to coach something out of him or coach him up so that he's not leaning as much. But that's also tough when you do have shorter arms like that. But then last but not least, and I can go through some of these questions too. And let's go into the last one, which is Kyle Monangai, which if you're watching out there on YouTube, you probably clicked on it because of the thumbnail. It was fairly clickbaity. Apologies for that, but that's the only way people click on videos. But he is my Isaiah Pacheco comp. Kyle Monangai, we've talked about this guy. I really like him. Rutgers running back, 5'8", 211, reminds me of Isaiah Pacheco. And if you want to know why, just put on a highlight tape. You just see this guy. He does not want to go down. He is the definition of an angry runner. He is constantly fighting, constant dog, just trying to just beat people up like crazy. And I love it. And probably the stat that everybody's kind of seen, because this is the lead one that everybody goes with. 0 fumbles for Kyle Monangai in his entire career. He does not know what a fumble looks like because he just simply does not fumble the ball. And the thing that makes that so impressive is you see like a Cam Scatabo or an Ashton Genty, these players that put everything into what they do when they run. It is hard to hold on to that ball. And the fact that he did that and he puts everything behind it and did not fumble the football, that is a lot of kudos that goes out to Monangai. 1,279 rushing yards last season, 5 yards per carry, 13 touchdowns, only 14 receptions for 75 yards. Another thing too that is quietly really good about Kyle Monangai, he's also a very good pass protector. So you can have him in passing snaps and feel really good about that. Now, the other question that I think is, because I'm saying all this good stuff. The guy loves to break tackles. This guy is just a fighter and he's a dog. So why did he go in the 7th? And the biggest reason is because with Monangai, it is a size and speed sport. I think his RAS score was like 5 out of 10, which is just not good at all. It's the athleticism to stay in the league and other things like that. That is one of the kind of surprises, because I agree with Joe. I kind of thought that they were going to go either with like super speedy or larger, because quite frankly, I thought they were going to get my boy out of Texas, Jalen Blue, because I was like, Jalen Blue is like so speedy and he is a weapon, right? With Monangai, maybe he's more of that David Montgomery to Swift being then the kind of more the, you have your David Montgomery is Monangai, and then you have Swift as more of your Gibbs type of a running back. So that's the feeling of it, I think. But still, Monangai, you just have questions about his athleticism and speed and other things like that. But man, you do not question the man's heart. This guy just plays with everything on the line. That's the thing that I really like about this guy. So as a 7th round pick, I don't mind it. I just know that a lot of us have this sour taste in our mouth where we're like, Damian Martinez was there forever, and we didn't get anybody like that. And still, like, just the different linebackers that were available. And I think, here, I'll go through some of the comments now and some of the chat, because I know I kind of wanted to keep this slightly short. And we're already at 20 minutes. But yeah, I see Slick out there. Yeah, Ryan Poles thinks he's smarter than everyone. I do think this did kind of feel that way. And also Kyle Monangai, a consensus board, 210, running back 21. So you saw 2 of them, with Hippolite being number 361 and then Luke Newman being number 355. Zay Frazier and Kyle Monangai being more of like, okay, you're technically getting them at better spots, right? But like the other 2, it just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. I feel like we all kind of feel that way a little bit. So we'll definitely get some sleep on it and just kind of think about what we thought. And I see Melon Smasher out there. Trapillo over Ratledge was a gut punch. Yeah, gift wrapping Ratledge to Detroit. Yeah, and that's where I think overall, like what we're seeing is some of that where like there's other players out there that we could have potentially gotten. But yeah, bear down, squeegee, saying entered this offseason with holes. Yeah, 9 new linemen. Yeah, and I think too, one thing that they usually with these day 3 picks, you're trying to fill just like the holes. So you add a running back, you add a guard, right? I know that we were kind of thinking like, would they actually want to get a guard out there? They did. Corner was one of those like low key kind of needs. So they just have like the potential guy. And then linebacker, it's like, yeah, you can't have enough linebackers out there that you can just draft. So yeah, I think I want to see what y'all graded this one. 15% saying A, 24% saying C, 39% saying B, 22 saying D or F. Yeah, I'm more on that D side. I don't know. It just felt very disjointed. You know, you technically lost the first trade. I like the second trade back. But to me, it's just like the different players that are out there. There's a lot of players that I really liked. And I think that's just where my slight bitterness, if you can't tell inside of my voice, but still, this is also what people do or most GMs do in day 3. I remember when I was going out there and looking at differences between when someone's drafted and, you know, like just consensus board, try to get like just a general grade on an overall draft, right? But yeah, I just felt like this was just, you know, day 3 just kind of ended a little odd, end a little off. But hey, tomorrow we'll review it all. We'll talk about where the Bears are at with this, do an overall grade, and just kind of recap what exactly we have, and then where do we go from there. We'll also definitely talk about the undrafted rookie free agents that are slowly coming in, with the Bears signing Power Eccles, linebacker out of UNC, and Major Burns, safety out of LSU. So just going with an all-name team right now, but we'll review that tomorrow, and we'll also talk about potential free agents for the Bears next. So make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there. If you're still watching live or later on, make sure to hit that like button. Helps out tremendously. And comment, what do you think? Because every comment helps out this show tremendously. Thank you all so much. And with that, Unbearable Sports, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a